Welcome to the Vistas Above the Fold podcast. I'm your host, Kiel Kondrick, and today I have with me Jeff. How you doing, Jeff?
Doing good, Kyle. Good to be here again, man.
Good to talk to you. So, next Tuesday is March 3rd, which is significant because it's Super Tuesday. So obviously there's like the presidential primaries going on, and there's also some county-specific things that are up for vote. And so I know you wrote a story about the measure voting coming up for vote for the liquor stores to be open on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
So last year there was another alcohol-related law, I guess, that went into effect in October, I think, right?
Yep, October of 2018. Yep. So voters voted on State Question 792, and that went into effect October 1st of 2018. And that allowed for grocery and convenience stores to sell wine and full-strength beer in their stores, whereas previously that was only something that you could get at liquor stores in Oklahoma.
Okay, yeah. So what is the difference between, I mean, I know you just explained it, but what's really going to be changing with this new thing that's up for vote?
So with when October 1st came around in 2018, store operators were concerned that they were at a competitive disadvantage. They weren't able to operate on Sundays, but you could go into on queue and get a bottle of Barefoot wine or a six-pack of Coop or something.
Mm-hmm.
But if you couldn't go and get it at a liquor store because they sell liquor, then they are legally bound to be at that disadvantage where they can't sell their products at all. Even their wine and beer that can be sold at other places, because
Right.
they have liquor, they couldn't open their doors on Sundays.
Okay.
So this SB 211 was put to a measure by the vote of the people after it passed by the county commissioners in Oklahoma County 2-1. And so this upcoming Tuesday, the voters of Oklahoma County and I believe 6 other counties are going to vote on that measure. And I believe in Oklahoma County it's going to pass.
Yeah.
And I think it'll probably pass in most of the other counties that it's up for vote as well. But
Okay.
certainly in Oklahoma County, I think it's
Yeah.
going to pass. So.
What are some of the pros and cons of this new thing that's of liquor stores being open on Sundays for both owners and consumers too?
Sure. Okay. So I feel like for the consumer, it really can only be a positive. There'll be consumers want what they want, when they want it,
Yeah.
and that's going to be as soon as possible.
Right.
And so this will allow more convenience for them. It will allow, if it's a nice day on a Sunday and, they didn't have the foresight to say, oh, well, today was a patio drinking day or whatever with the friends. And, they couldn't go get booze if it was a Sunday. So, instead of having to think and look at the weather or plan things ahead of time, you can be a little bit more spontaneous. And, it'll just allow for more convenience on the consumer level. In regard to the owner-operator level, it's going to raise labor costs because that's, another day where you're having to pay an employee to be there. A couple of these store owners that I actually talked to are just going to try to operate it themselves to save on labor costs, so they don't have to pay somebody to come in. So really for them, it's just going to be, they're only paying to keep the lights on and, keep everything running. So that's really the only cost that a lot of store operators are probably going to have on that day starting out, at least until it becomes, the community starts to know that that's an option and business starts to pick up on that day. Then maybe they'll think about putting somebody on and having somebody on payroll for that day. So.
Okay, yeah. So if it does get passed, which I think it will probably be passed,
Yeah.
Are there any worries about more alcohol-related crimes or more alcohol consumption or anything like that from anyone around?
Yeah, there are some PubMed studies out there that show that there's a slight increase in violent crime when Sunday alcohol sales are allowed. There was a study that studied 5 states, and 3 out of those 5 states revealed there was a 10% increase in violent crime.
Oh, wow.
But it's the sample size and, the fact that there's a limited amount of studies on it. I don't think one could conclusively say that it's going to directly correlate to more issues and more crime. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on and, see if it affects arrests and crime in any way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm interested to see, how Tuesday how it comes up after Tuesday. So
Yeah, for
thanks
sure.
for explaining all that stuff.
No
for us.
problem,
Yeah.
Kyle. For
Yeah.
sure, brother.
Well, thanks for tuning into this edition of the Vistas Above the Fold podcast. Tune in next week where we'll have our third podcast of this semester.